I owe Kelly Muscle an apology. But being this is most likely the last time I'm going to make any videos about any of this kind of stuff about him. And I do sincerely want to apologize to the man. But first, there are some things I just got to say. And that's to all the people that are watching his stuff and they're seeing all this crazy stuff he's been doing with diet and his nutrition, his regimen, and him advocating this and putting this off as it's a healthier way to go. Just like with him losing all this size, it's a healthier way to go. It's a healthier way for him, perhaps. Maybe. Losing all that weight is absolutely, in his condition, absolutely a healthier thing for him. Very, very healthy thing for him to do. But he has a tendency to try to sell it to you guys or to everybody out there that it's a healthy thing for you as well, and it's not. It's not. It isn't. I mean, yeah, beyond a certain point, when you cross the line and you get too heavy, like crazy heavy, yeah, you're going to be healthier to lose some weight. If you have problems like uncontrollable high blood pressure that you would have to take medication for because you can't control it any other way. You can't control it with diet and nutrition. You can't control it with exercise or cardio or any of that. Then yeah, you should try to lose some frickin' weight. Yeah, but it depends how big you are. I mean, if you're a 150-pound guy, 170-pound guy with blood pressure problems, I don't even know if I've ever seen such an animal, but if you were, I don't think the solution would be lose more weight. I don't think it would be a problem. But if you're bodybuilder type, if you're 200-pound, 220-pound guy, if you're 230-pound dude, if you can manage it, then, it's inconsequential. If you can manage it, if you have problems, then maybe some of this stuff might be a healthier alternative. And he's a guy that has a big problem. He has heart failure. His own video he put up recently, his own cardiovascular doctor or specialist put it out there, and he left it in a video he just posted where the doctor told him, pointed out to him, and said, look, you're a guy with a 25% ejection fraction. 25%. I didn't realize it was that bad. So it makes it clear or much more understandable some of these measures that he's taking and some of the maybe kind of crazy shit that he has said lately. But it's anybody else in that position, you could easily, could you blame them? I mean, shit, when I have any kind of a physical ailment going on or I'm healing up from something, knee surgery or whatever, I had a few years back, something like that, and I can't train, I can't do the things that I want to do, I can't function, I can't move around the same or anything like that, I can get kind of miserable, and I could probably say some crazy shit too, just off the cuff, because my mind is on my problems. And that man definitely has enough problems to keep his mind occupied, no question, To put things in perspective, if he has a 25% ejection fraction, that means the left ventricle in his heart, left ventricle, remember that. Where have you heard that before? Gear, anabolics, left ventricle damage. Pretty standard fare. Pretty much everybody that ends up, on a slab or has cardiac issues, that's been on a lot of gear, that is abused, like wildly abused gear. It's always in the left ventricle. It's always in the left ventricle. I mean, you can get a blood clot, whatever, but then when When they do the autopsy, it always turns out they've got an enlarged heart, and it's a left ventricle problem, because that's what it affects. That's what it affects, you know? I don't know how deep I want to get into all this. I don't know that you care about the details, but, you know, the heart gets enlarged, the walls get thicker, particularly affecting the left ventricle, so they lose their pliability and flexibility, and the heart cannot contract with the same amount of production. Causes problems. So if you have an ejection fraction of 25%, again, put that into perspective. Healthy individuals' ejection fraction, it can be said, is going to be over 55%. A really healthy person can be as high as 75%. Very rarely is anybody higher than that, but it happens. You know, if it gets too high, then it's a whole other problem in itself. A really healthy person is going to be about 65 to 75% ejection fraction. When you get to 40%, right? When you get to 40% ejection fraction, that's considered heart failure. That's heart failure. That heart is in failure. It's a failing heart. When you get to 25%, that's some serious shit. There's no question that there's a lot of things you can't do that you used to do. I'm sure dropping all that weight absolutely helps. You know, now can you fix it? Don't know the specifics. There can be quite a few reasons why the ejection fraction is low. There's no doubt in my mind that gear played a significant role. And, you know, he wasn't minding the store. He's talked about that he had symptoms. He had swelling going on in his lower leg, his calf or his foot, right? Swelling going on in his foot, holding a bunch of water on his foot. And he ignored it. He ignored it for years. So when he's telling you guys, you know, I got it from eating ramen noodles, or that's not. You're not going to end up like that because you ate ramen noodles. You know, could it contribute? Sure, it could contribute. But look at the influence of the gear. Again, what does gear do to cholesterol? You know, he had this blockage, this horrible, fucking like 90% blockage or some crazy shit like that. He had that Widowmaker because of that. And, you know, anabolics, it's just a fact, it's a reality. That the influence that they have on cholesterol is they lower good cholesterol and they raise bad cholesterol. And so these are all things to be managed and watch out for. I mean, you can have problems without taking gear. So if you're going to do that, and then you're not even going to do a little bit, but you're going to do a lot, you really need to be educated. All the way around, not just about what you're taking and that it's putting muscle on you or this or that or how strong it's making you or how long you're going to be on. Or you need to know what health markers to look for, and you need to stay on top of it and clear that he didn't. And he's not the only guy. I would say probably most people don't pay attention to any of that. They don't pay attention to any of that. And that's how you get here. That's how you get here. You know, and once you have all that plaque built up, you can't get rid of that. Can't get rid of that. You can minimize it because the plaque is like a hard shell that forms in the artery on the wall. You know, in between the wall and the plaque, that fills up with cholesterol. So that squeezes it off. Now, you can do a lot of things to lower your cholesterol. You can clean that out. You can improve cardiovascular performance, which will improve ejection fraction and will, you know, shrink that, diminish that effect of the plaque. It doesn't get rid of the plaque, but it gets rid of the cholesterol that's between the plaque and the arterial wall, right? So that shrinks and opens it up some. So yeah, he can make all kind of improvements. He can bring that heart back. I had a friend of mine whose heart ejection fraction was poor. I don't know exactly where it was, but I'm going to say it probably was damn near where he is. And it took him, I'm going to say it took him 2 years, but he's 100% back. And he's a well-known powerlifter. Now, he's kind of retired now, but he was, in his day, he was well-known in all the magazines, Powerlifting USA, all that, all the time. Everybody knew who he was. He was on ESPN when he won Bench America, you know, if you can figure that out. He was a friend of mine. We used to train together. And he's 100%, but it took him like 2 years to come back. But that's because there was no physical damage to like a valve or whatever, you know, a la Arnold Schwarzenegger, which, you know, he said it was genetic, and it certainly could have been. It had a leaky valve, and that will give you a low ejection fraction. And you can't fix that without surgical intervention, if that is the case. If you've got a leaky valve, you know, you got surgery to the degree that you need a donor heart or you need to get that valve replaced. Another friend of mine, former training partner, older guy now, 62 or 63 now. Killer physique, never used gear. Straight, a true natty, old school natty. Great physique. If you saw him, there's no way these kids today would believe it. They'd be like, oh, there's no way he's a fake natty. But he's only 200, 205. Yeah. If you put a shirt on him and stuff, you know, he looks firm and healthy, but he doesn't look huge. Now, if he takes his shirt off, you got a tank top on, whatever, he looks huge because it's an illusion. You know, when bodybuilding is at its best, done correctly, it is an illusion. Because you got a small waist, maybe you're blessed with small joints, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. His was low enough that he was in the gym. This is quite a few years ago now, maybe 6, 7 years ago. And he started getting dizzy, he couldn't get a pump anymore, and the more he worked out, the worse he felt. No energy, he felt like he was going to fall out. And he just continued to have, you know, serious fatigue, continued to get worse. Now he went right away and had it checked out. That's when they told him, got this bad leaky valve in the left ventricle. And so his ejection fraction was low too, very low. And he was getting all kinds of fucked up symptoms from it. He had an option, he could get a mechanical valve, but at that time, I don't know if it's improved, but at that time, a lot of those were having problems. A lot of people were, I think that they told him if you get the mechanical valve, you're going to have it replaced. It wouldn't be unusual to have it replaced in 2 years' time. Go back in and replace it again. They don't, at that time, they typically weren't holding up, you know, very long. They did the job, but they weren't holding up. So he got the same thing that Arnold got. He got a pig's valve, pig donor valve. And that took care of that, you know, and now, you know, he's been 100% for, you know, back in the gym, 100% for probably, I don't know, 3 years. Yeah, and he's good to go. Now, if Kelly doesn't have any kind of mechanical issue going on or anything that requires surgical intervention or replacement or repair, then yeah, he can fix this thing, but it all depends. There's so many things that can cause poor ejection fraction. Some things, one of the worst things you could do in light of it, or in the face of it, is to drink too much liquid. And what does he do? He does watermelon diet, all liquid. He does all these fruit diets, all this liquid. You know, drinking all this liquid. Now, maybe it doesn't apply to him. But I know, I don't see him doing a lot of cardio, doesn't mean he's not doing it. You know, but even cardio, low stress cardio with longer duration and build up a tolerance, that is one of the fastest ways to improve ejection fraction and come back if there's no real mechanical problem going on that needs to be repaired. But anyway, long story short, I want to apologize to Cali Muscle because I had no idea that that was the situation. Like, you know, that's serious shit. That's very serious shit. I don't know if you guys realize how fucked up that is. And it's got to be weighing heavy on him. And I don't want to see anything bad happen to that man. That man's got 2 little boys that need him, that need their dad, man. So I wish him nothing but the best. You know, I wish him nothing but the best. Right now, most likely, I'm not in his shoes, but most likely it looks like he's just scrambling around trying to find something that's going to work for him because he wants to fucking stay alive. And that's what he's supposed to be doing. So, you know, I hope he succeeds, man. He should. I think he can do it. Like I said, if he doesn't have any real mechanical issue going on that has to be repaired or requires surgical intervention, he can improve that ejection fraction, because my one buddy, the powerlifter, who I'm not going to name, you know, I've named him many times in other videos, but not in regard to this. He brought his back. Now, it took him like 2 years, but that dude, when he was first coming back with it, his ejection fraction was so bad that we would work out and he would have to lay on the floor sometimes in between sets. No shit. No shit. Yeah, but he came back. He came back. He did it. Anyway, you know, God bless. I think you guys should root for him. I think you guys should support him and encourage him and, you know, give him props for fighting, you know, trying to fight his way back and reclaim his health. But as far as the food did it to him, or, you know, the food contributed probably. You know, if you ate really shitty, high cholesterol shit, and you weren't, what did it was you didn't track it. You weren't paying attention. You didn't mind the store. You didn't give the symptoms you were experiencing their just due, you know, in consideration, and go get it checked. That's what the problem is. So if there's a takeaway from this, takeaway is don't do that. If you have issues, you have symptoms, get it checked out. Don't be afraid to go to the freaking doctor and get it checked out. If you're scared of what the doctor's going to tell you, just think how much worse it's going to be if you end up in this situation that this man's in right now because he didn't go. You know, if you're taking a bunch of gear, man, come on. If you minus the gear out of that equation, how much did the food actually contribute? The shit diet, how much did that contribute? It would probably cause problems, but not these problems, not to this extent. That gear is, you see that time and time and time again, except you usually see it take people out. It didn't take him out, so he's still in the fight. And I wish him the best, man. Wish him nothing but the best. That's it.